Hello and welcome to this video. The set object lets you store unique values of any type. It does not display duplicate values, only unique values are displayed. Set objects are iterable objects. That means you can iterate through the elements of a set in insertion order. Set objects are also a collection of values. A value in the set may only occur once. It is unique in the set's collection, so you can't have duplicates. Because each value in the set has to be unique, the value equality is checked to ensure that. So let me show you how the set works. I'm going to create a new variable using a const. So to do that, I just type in const, I'll do a space and I'll give it a name. I'm going to call it my set. I'm going to set that to equals to a new set, and I will wrap that in opening parentheses. The values are going to be an array, so I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll close the array and I'll close the parentheses. So here I have created a new set. So we can access the values within a set using different methods or property. The method I want to use first is one called has, and that returns a Boolean value based on whether the given element is present in the set or not. A Boolean value is a true or false value. So I'm going to use a method. So I'm going to say console.log, and I'm going to pass in the name of my set, which is called my set. And I'm going to attach the method, which is called has, which is going to check if the value exists in my set or not. If it exists, it will return true. If it doesn't, it will say false. So I press enter. You can say it says true here. That is because I have got a value of 1 in my set. If I try to do a console.log using the has method on a value that's not present in my set, I will get a false return. So let me just copy this to save me typing. Notice I've not got 7 listed here. So I'm going to add a 7. I'll change that from 1 to a 7. And if I execute that, I will expect a false. And that's because I haven't got 7 listed in my set. You can also check the size of your set. So there's another method you can use to console log to find out. So I'm just going to paste this code in and change it. So to find the size of the set, so I'll say my set dot, just get rid of that and just say size dot size, and that will give me the size of my set. So if I press enter, it has given me, oh okay, the reason being I've got an error here. So let me do that again. It should just say size. I'll get rid of the extra one. Now, if I run this, I expect, you can see here it's giving me a value of 6, which is what I want. So this method here, size, will give you the size of the elements. I've got 6 elements in there, which is what it has returned here. So that's a basic example of how a set is used. Thank you for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome. The map object is used to hold key value pairs, and it can create its own indexes which are unique. It is similar to an array, but the key difference is that you can define your own index. So let me illustrate how the map object works by creating a new map. So to do that, I'll start with a variable. I'll say var to create a variable called new map, and I'll set that to equals to new map object to new space map, and I wrap that in parentheses and then the semicolon. So I've created a variable called new map. When you're using a map, you can also set the property. The map has different properties. For example, if you want to set value pairs, you use the set property to set the key and the value for each object. So I'm going to create 3 map objects. So I'll say new, map, which is this new map I defined here. So I'll say new map dot set. You use the set property to set values, and inside parentheses I'm going to specify the key and then the value. So the key is going to be name, so it's a string, so you got to enclose it in text. So I'll say name, that's the key, and then I need to specify the value. The value, I'll say Rick. So that's the value I've given that, and I'll close the parentheses and add a semicolon. So that's my first map object. I'm going to create another one. I'll just say new map dot set, and this time let's give it an ID value. I'll say ID, and I'll put the other quote. I do a comma, so you have to separate the key and the value with a comma, and I'll just give this some random number. I'll say 747432. This is just random number, and I will close that because it's a number. You don't need to enclose it in a string because it's numerical. So I'll close the parentheses and close that semicolon. I'll do one more, create one more object. I'll say new map, and I'll set a property for this new map object, and inside that I'll just say languages. Okay, that will be the key, and the value, I'm going to put the value inside an array block. So inside the value here, I'll just say Ruby. Okay, that'll be 1, comma, JavaScript. I'll say JS, that'll be another one, comma. I'll say Python, Python. All right, I'll just close that for now. So I've used the set property here to create 3 map objects. So if I press enter, you can see the value. It tells you here map has 3 objects. The first is a name, and it tells you these are the values for each of the objects. Okay, so I've got 3 values. First one is the name, that's the value for the name, and then we've got an ID value, and then we've got languages, which has 3 arrays. So if you look up here, you can see that the map object for languages has 3 elements in the array, 1, 2, 3, and we've got an ID object with the value of this, and we've got a name object with the value of Rick. That's what is represented here. You can expand it by clicking on this arrow here, and you can see more in detail. It tells you here the values, tells you entries here. If I click on this here, you can see it tells you the key is the name, the value is Rick. If I click on the second one here, tell you the ID here is the key and the value is that. If I click on the other one here, tells you the key is languages and the value is this array element. If I expand that here, it gives you the index of the array. So the first element has a 0 index, second has 1, and the third has an index of 2. All right, so now we have created the map objects. So what if you wanted to access the individual objects within a map? How would you do that? For example, if I wanted to access the name here for this map object, if I wanted to access that, what I'll do here, I use the get property. So I'll call the name of the variable, which is new map. Okay, new map dot, you use it dot get, and then inside the parentheses I pass in name, which I have to enclose in quotes, and then add the semicolon. So if I press enter, it should give me the value for that key, which is Rick. And you can do the same with the others. If you want to get this value here, you just do new map.get followed by ID. It will give you the value. Same thing with this. If I do new map.get and specify the key, which is languages, it will print out the value, which is this Ruby, JS, and Python. So that's basically how a map object works. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.